You are live. Okay, so
You have half a head.
I have half a head. I can be half a head. Okay, everybody out there in the world. Malo, malo, lava. May my mountains reach your mountains. May my waters reach your waters. May my house reach your house. May we take this time to acknowledge the past, for we are indeed the past, the present, and the future. May I take this time to acknowledge the tangata whenua, Fijian people who hold the mana of this land. It's actually really emotional to be here. Somebody from the Pacific. Yeah, malo, malo. Greetings to the Fiji Museum, the house that has given us this space, and acknowledge my friend Katrina and Sachiko who in a long-winded way have brought us all together here today. May I acknowledge you, may I thank you, may I thank you once, may I thank you twice, may I thank you 3 times. May I greet all the people out there in YouTube land, all the SaVàges. Mama SaVàge is here at the Fiji Museum. We're about to meet some beautiful people and have an exploration into being together in the world as Indigenous people here in the 21st century. Yeah, that's me, and I'm going to pass this. It's only fair that we go this way.
Oh, and this upward angle is not the most effective, is it? We can not now all see ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suck it all in. Yantazinak, everybody. Thank you so much for coming with us. Thank you all of you for joining us. Rosanna and I first crossed paths in England, of all places, at the University of Cambridge, one of the oldest institutions in England that holds Pacific material as well. So we came together at times that we didn't know we needed each other, wanted to know each other, would ever work together kind of any longer than the hour we spent together the first time. And it's been a long 50-ish year journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was very fortunate to be with Rosanna at her very first SaVAge Club in Vancouver. And I've been on the waka ever since. And she's dragged me into a few things, pushed me out of a few things. That's how Sachiko and I really met, was here on this museum veranda as well. So we're so happy you're here with us, and I'm so happy to show you some of the collections. The museum right now is in a state of renovation, so like I told you earlier, there's nothing in the galleries to see, so that's why we're going into the stores. But the stores are the best bit of the entire museum, in my opinion. And there's lots of stuff up there at the moment because it's preparing for the opening of this new gallery. So it's going to be a really exciting day, and just being able to feel, I think, what's in there. It's just beautiful. So thank you very much for being with us today, and you look terrified.
Bulabinaka, everyone. My name is Katrina, and coming here today, I didn't realize that the workshop was going to be so open like this. Like I feel at home, like I feel comfortable, because I was coming here like feeling like, oh, we're gonna be dancing. I didn't know that it was going to feel so homey, and I'm very fortunate that I get to meet amazing people like both of you today. And I also want to thank Chico for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this workshop. And I'm going to be very open-minded. I'm going to try and give as much knowledge as I can for this opportunity, and also take in what you people are going to teach us today. And I think we are very fortunate Itaki people to meet. amazing people like you, and I'm grateful for that. You know.
Yeah.
So, Bulgunaka, my name is Christopher Kai. Coming today, so glad that I'm here. I'd like to thank Chico and meeting the two beautiful ladies from Aotearoa. So today I'm going to be open-minded. Hope that I learn a lot from you guys and more about things you are about to teach us. Thank you. Naka.
Mbulagnaka. My name is Sekovituni. I'm from a beautiful island of Nuku'kalangau, island of Fiji. I'm a professional dancer here in Bowen, Fiji. It's been an honor and a privilege to be here, learning some new experience, new things. Really can't wait to learn some more. Some to be a sponsor. Thank you very much, Satiko, Soro, for giving me an opportunity, and two lovely ladies. Can't wait for more fun with Naka.
Thank you.
Bulabinaka, everyone. Sachiko. I'm so happy to be here to see you guys. I love you both with all my heart. And why am I crying? I just love and respect you so much, and I just adore and respect everything that you stand for. And I think that these voices in the world are so important to challenge powerful people and powerful institutions, that there's a voice for people that don't have a voice. And for you to come here and share, the experience and strength and insight that you've had from all over the world to come and share with us is really beautiful. I'm such a Cancer, I always cry. And I wish that everyone could have come today. Like, I really wish, this is like the yummy stuff. Like, this is the yummy stuff that we get to do as artists, as we dig. I mean, I've lived here my whole life and I've never been in the back room of the museum. I'm so excited about today. This is like treasure hunting. So this is really, really, really exciting. And I think that it's moments like today where we have those aha moments and that really grow and stretch us as artists. And you guys all here today are such amazing, incredible artists, and you're gonna bring so much to this this project. And I'm really excited for what you're gonna learn and how this will influence your creative practice going forward. Because you're in great hands. Rosanna and Katrina are both such amazing, brilliant, creative minds, and I know that I haven't seen you guys in a few years because of COVID and stuff, but I'm always following everything you do online, yes, just commenting, you go, yes, and I came and visited you both in England that time, and we've kept in touch in New Zealand over the years as well. So I'm really excited I know that this is the starting point, and I know that this project, if I know you two, this project will grow and develop and grow wings and fly away. So I'm really excited that this is day one of something really special. Can't really stop talking now. Thank you. Yeah.
Risambulu Arnayandra. My name is Andisa Nimbulikula Batualiwali. I am from Kavulana Kortumbura, Basuirutuma, and I am 22 years old and I am a professional dancer. And I can't believe I get to say that. First of all, thank you very much for this opportunity to be here. I think it's very important to learn more, especially about our own history, especially when our own education system doesn't really enforce that much on it. And me, myself, personally, I'm hoping to learn as much as I can about my own culture, because I've always been told in the well, as long as I'm comfortable, I don't really look outside. And hope now that things have been changing, and hopefully that changes, and I want to see more outside of my will, especially, and learn more about my own will. Because apparently there's a lot I don't know about it. Naka, thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Spencer. I'm 21 years of age. Being here is such a great opportunity because this is like my first time to go out for a workshop. And thank you so much, Chico, for choosing me to come here for the workshop.
But okay.
And thank you guys so much for having us here. And we hope to learn more and more from you guys.
Yay!
Thank you.
Bulavinaka everyone. My name is Giovanna Varea. I'm from Noto Rotuma, Vasuya Lokumba. I don't know what word to describe how I feel right now being here. I feel really honored and lucky, grateful. Just hearing what you shared with us about the SaVAge Club. I'm 100% sure I would stand with you and what your club believes in. As a young person who's started learning about where she's from, just like earlier on, really passionate about what you did. And thank you, Sachiko, for extending our artistic matu vale to you guys and to the gang for watching live. It's a real honor, and I'm looking forward to learning more. And what can I say? I think over the past few years, as Pacific Islanders, we've been trying to reclaim our lands, but I'm so grateful for this generation because we're trying to not only reclaim but also share the significance of what we're trying to reclaim. So thank you so much for inviting us. Thank you.
Bula Vinaka, everyone. My name is Shael, and I'm from Ba. I'm really honored to be here. This is my first time at the Fiji Museum, and as soon as I got here, my mind was totally blown. I was like, "Whoa, this is so crazy! I'm gonna learn so many things, and I can't wait to go back home and share this with my friends and my family, what I learned today, and also to share a little bit of my knowledge with you all. Thank you so much.
That was nice. Malambula, my name is Mala, and I am 20 years of age. I am really, really, really excited to be here. On the way here, I was talking to Sachiko, and I was saying I'm so excited to go to the museum because I've never been here. And when I was talking to Dr. Katrina, I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to go inside," and she was like, "Oh, but there's nothing inside to see, but we're gonna go to the store." I was like, "Oh, that's even better." So as the first time I'm coming here, I'm genuinely stoked, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity, for Sachiko for extending the invitation to the dancers and to all of us, and for bringing us down, and to Dr. Katrina for allowing us in your space, and Rosanna for being here with us today. And we cannot wait for you to teach us whatever it is that you're going to teach us, and we're so excited. And we welcome you to our beautiful island of Fiji with open arms, and we're so excited to learn everything that we're going to learn, and hopefully exchange knowledge on this workshop, and share some amazing stories together. Yes. Really
I think we've got one more hiding around the back.
My turn.
Lily, shy till the camera.
Hello everyone, my name is Sireli. I'm not too sure if you all know me. Dr. Katrina and Sachiko know me. I've been working here at the museum for the past 2 years through the wonderful project that Sachiko and Dr. Katrina headed. And so just two things really. When people come to the museum, first things I always tell Sachiko, we love to host at the museum and seeing all your faces here. And for this wonderful project that Ro is heading, it's such a wonderful opportunity for us. And another thing is that when I always take people, even though we're closed, we have people coming in, dignitaries. When we take them in, we try and tell them, we try and move away from a sanctified Christian lens and just go in as a person, as an indigenous person. And don't bring in all sorts of these things you've learned in school or from anywhere else. You come in and you just engross yourself in whatever's there. And the other thing is, whatever we hold in the museum, apart from those that have been brought by the missionaries and the Europeans, the indigenous objects, they are part of ancestral knowledge, which has been there for centuries. And so it's just a testament, to the knowledge and the wisdom of our elders and those who came before us. So once again, thank you for being here. Thank you, Ro, for heading this initiative. And thank you, Dr. Katrina, for the opportunity.
And Sireli's been very modest, but he, the group of interns at the museum in particular, have created a completely new youth-focused lens on the museum. If you've seen them in the past 2 years, with all of the work they've been doing, the virtual open days, the videos they've produced, the 6 of them have been instrumental, as all of you are in your field, in helping to bring this open-mindedness back to cultural heritage, indigeneity, and yeah, so we're incredibly proud of Lely and all of the interns that have been here.
Oh. Ouch. Slow. Sorry.
Voila. I'll just bring us all together with a little karakia. It just talks about how we bind ourselves together through humanity, through the great ocean of Moana, Kiwa. And then we can, and that will be our space open, and then we can get into the business of talking about how we're going to go, and maybe some little things, to yeah, and we'll do it with food. Yeah. So ka haere tātou whakumua, tehe wā mauri ora. Tui a te tuka, tui a te muka, te tangata mai, hauai ki nui, hauai ki roa, hauai ki pau mama. Kuku me ngā heringa, whakauru ngā taura. Kuku me ngā heringa, whakauru ngā taura. Kotahi te wairua e, haumi e, hui e, tai ki e. Space is open, and our necklace here, which I think I'll look after today, will contain all our beautiful modi, all our beautiful spirit that we create and share. So I think we're going to turn it over to Katrina to just talk about, and this is an open space. If you need to go to the bathroom, the kai is on the table, go grab yourself some kai. So it's not a schoolroom. So and so it is a help yourself space to and we'll just prepare ourselves to actually how we do enter the space, and I think that's a really good conversation for us to have, especially if you haven't been inside and met your ancestral past like this before. Sometimes a lot of emotions come out, you feel a lot of things, and that is absolutely okay. And I think in the afternoon, our first session after is to try and help articulate that through words, and then later on we'll get into the body. So because I know you're all good with the body, so so it really will be a journey. And we really are planting a seed. This is planting a seed for, it's not just today, it's not just tomorrow, And it's not even about the project that I'll talk to you about, Vātamatia, which is in Birmingham, really hoping to plant a seed so that the museum space and the cultural heritage that lies within just becomes a beautiful, normal part of the toolbox that your ancestors have laid down for you. So, and yet that you'll know who to call, how to come in, so it's not somewhere big and kind of like, oh, I don't know. So that's a big part of today is how can we make this more accessible to you? And then, how can we take that out into the te ao Māori, into the big world? Because I don't know how, but there are hundreds and thousands of our cultural heritage artifacts. Yeah, I'd say millions out there in the world. So that's pretty much the beginning of the day, and I'm just gonna pop this. I don't know where to pop this. I know. Yeah, I'll just pop it like there to the pretty guy.
And so when Rosanna talks about it being an open space and being allowed to move around, it's also allowing your mind to move around, I think, at the same time, and being free and willing to say, to think, to do whatever you need to. So when we open a space, we always close the space at the end so that all of what we've discussed, talked about is in a safe place and we can all go to our own respective, areas and have everything be clean and it's backward, but you know what I mean, but safe as opposed to being roaming as we're going to have it now. So anything you feel, anything you want to say, anything you want to do, don't feel inhibited, I guess is what we'd like to say. If you need to gasp, if you need to cry, you've seen these two already. I'm going to start soon. I just haven't had coffee yet, so the brain hasn't caught up to the rest of me. So please just know it's very, very, very open. And before we start talking about the museum and the collections, walk on over there, get yourself some food, and we'll come discuss over future, because that's a nicer way to talk about things. Thank you. And Lely, you're included in the eating, so lead the way. You're naughty. Don't be shy.
How are you, bro?
I'm good. I'm definitely sort of this one in her commute. I woke up this morning, I'm like,
Did you come from Nova?
yeah, we've been doing it every day.
We had a plumbing emergency.
We had a plumbing emergency. We didn't have Tulia with us. So,
Oh my god.
so I was doing like,
I may have been a bit bitchy on the phone.
we needed some adult supervision, but we did it. We also had to turn the water off. We got the water spraying out. We were trying to put the tap down. It was like something off a movie, when you like,
Oh my god. So funny.
It wasn't. It is now.
It was pretty funny. So it's been like, I'm always flabbergasted by the landscape of Fiji.
Beautiful land.
And it's so large.
Yeah, you forget about it, and then when I was driving into something else, wow.
Yeah.
Like every now and then you're like,
It's such a nice drive.
Isn't that a beautiful drive?
yeah.
That's why I like the commute, because I like staring out the window. And just,
I actually like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
good thinking time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good thinking time.
Go eat.
Oh my goodness.
You want me to grab something for you?
No, you can eat.
Yeah, we'll come when we're ready. Oh my God, we got a future director here. Yes.
That is called mini director.
Mini
DF.
I told them I'll come back here when I sit on the board. And that's when I'm gonna fix everyone.
Good boy.
Some young people now.
Yeah.
Oh, there, Lally. I think I might have good news about the ambassador thing. I can tell you next week. You alla ini.
Oh.
Is it too
We
late?
can manage to chop.
Oh, no, I think you're okay. I think, but if you, how much could you chop off maybe?
We can chop the 5 or 3.
The 3? Okay. I think I might be able to swing it, but just let me, as of Tuesday, I can tell you.
Okay. It's okay. Let you know, is the consultant for the perspective?
Yeah.
So what do they like choose, like a
Well, I think because she's associated with,
yeah.
no, with one of the, is it Queensland University that's doing the ACPEU grant? So she's associated with them, so she's on that panel as well, and I think that's how she comes in.
I was wondering how they choose. Not that I was just thinking how does the process.
And you see Mark then for his bench?
I think he went for that. There's this ministerial.
Yeah.
And he went. I saw Anna's photo, and then Anna was like, "Guess who's here too?"
Well, Mark and Zelda.
I'm grateful that I came. Walaupun nama ke radio.
How's the food? They never disappoint.
It's nice. Oh, it's nice. No complaints from everybody. Oh yeah, I had no idea that the museum was it because I went to check. I was like, there's usually a boat in the middle. I went, I was like, there's no boat. The boat's gone, guys.
It's still there. We've been close for almost 2 years now. And Dr. Katrina is our curatorial consultant, which is trying to open everything up. Just the first gallery, and then we'll open up a second gallery, and then we'll extend the building. All in the new financial year.
I'd like to come and walk through it.
But you guys are lucky that you guys get to go, because only dignitaries visiting dignitaries they go in from the public. So normally when we have ministers coming into the country, commanders, French military commanders, we just hosted one on Wednesday. The French military commanders, they came in. So it's usually their privilege. They host it and then they are allowed to go in. But for the general public, it's okay. So when visitors come in, you just take them up to storage. There's really nothing to see.
Thank you, Creative New Zealand, for out me.
So have all of you always been Western based, or some of you from SaVAge? SaVAge? Ba. So Joe, did you ever come to the museum or no?
Class 1.
Yeah.
So a long time, 12 years ago.
Yeah, that's often what I hear, even kind of like the 50, 60-year-olds in the UK. That's the only time they've ever come was, class 1, class 2. And it's normally at the end of the year if there's enough money for the kids to come, so it's not given that anybody gets to go.
Can't remember any pieces from it. I just remember the boat.
She's still there.
You got a big show on tonight?
What's today?
Friday.
No shows today, but tomorrow we have morning and then Shangri-La and then Bollywood show and then dance fest. So we have 4 shows on tomorrow.
Oh my gosh! Lucky you guys are young.
Yeah, we won't tell you what time we wanted to go to bed last night.
Oh no, sorry, that's 2 shows tomorrow and 2 shows on Sunday. I'm getting confused. Yeah, this time of year we're always like crazy. Which is good after
Yum.
We're not allowed to go upstairs until we finish all the food on the table.
Oh my God. Cool, and a lot of you have got notebooks. I know, I was going to say. I've got mine. But anyway, this is where we're going to throw. Basically, it's going to be quite a lot. We're just going to throw a lot of information sort of in front of you. Let's go. But this is our. I was talking about the SaVAge methodology. I made my own methodology. So the first one is to cultivate, and that's again going back to the vā and this relational space. When cultivate, it's not just the research. That it's a research phase, but it's not just cultivating knowledge. It's cultivating relationships, who you're going to work with, and then how that's ongoing. And so, yeah, so in your journey for knowledge, you know, it's not just about the words in a book or something you see, but it's about the people that you bring in and that will help support you, that will help you move forward in your journey for knowledge speaking. And then also, you know, it's when you find the idea or you find the story that you want to articulate, and so you're cultivating. It's just like, you know, gardening. You're nourishing it, and you have to work hard at it. You know, it depends what sort of garden you want. You know, so that search for knowledge. You know, sometimes we get it from our elders. A lot of times, especially with my experience, the knowledge I was seeking, they didn't want me to know because they were scared, because it wasn't from the Christian value. So I've spent a lifetime trying to find a way that the Christian values and our Indigenous values can sit side by side rather than one being on the other or one or the other. So I really started to cultivate that journey within me of it's okay to know a lot of those stories. We call them pūrākau, and rākau is tree, and so, you know, often our people, you know, we look out to our relationship with nature, and also our relationship to all the atua, all the entities and the ancestors and the, you know, what is your name for atua, for our gods and goddesses? Vuvu. Yeah, so it's a really important relationship, and we'll be connecting to a lot of this when we go inside, because everything they made has come from nature. So it's one of our first, it's one of our first vā, our vā tapuia. It's our sacred vā with the Creator and all that is created. So it's not just for humans. It's not just, you know, it's every rock, every tree, every leaf. So we sort of we're going to sort of, and that's all built into this cultivation period. So, and that to me, when you've got the foundation, you've cultivated, everything just runs smoothly from then. You've already laid a map out in front of you, and so we're going to be in a cultivation period, and then fabricate is my next one. And fabricate is a word, it means to kind of make something. You can fabricate a mat, you can fabricate an iron thing, you can fabricate a story. It doesn't always have to be a true story. And also that involves all the techniques, the handcrafts, and the knowledge that goes in behind it. And again, we go back to nature. It's about how to plant, how to nurture, when to harvest, how to harvest, when to leave something back in the ground when we've taken enough. So the fabrication is also when we're experimenting with the actual, the fabric, the actual materiality of a thing. And with dances, your body's your main material. It's your main material. But I go back to that, cultivate in terms of those stories, those pūrākau, and the story that you're telling. And then the third tenet for the methodology is then we activate. And I would say, again, I put the VAR in capitals, and that's me literally putting an indigenous way of knowing and being in the middle. So I'm not, like, there's a lot of words around, like, decolonize, we want to decolonize, but I still find that puts the Western system in, still keeps them in the middle. So I'm going to quietly push them to the sides and put your own indigenous ways of knowing and being in the centre. And a lot of that starts with relationships. So, but when I talk about activate, I'm really talking about, for me, like how the body, being this genetic material that can hold all our past, present, and future, how when we bring other bodies into experience all our hard work, we're also activating another relationship between them celebrating the hard work that we've done.
Yes.
Yes! That usually always includes food. So, yeah, so when I talk about activate, I really talk about this relationship that you create between you and the thing, the mia. And I think this is, for my experience when I first walked into the stores, I felt activated by my ancestral past. And that's the first thing that I felt. And I didn't know how to articulate it then. I just knew that all of a sudden I felt that the past and the present and the future we were in an alignment because we were sharing the same space. So that's what I mean in terms of, and that's why I choose not to use the words performance. I find that we have a lot of performative actions in what we do, but it's not performing in terms of there's the audience and here's me, and I'm doing this thing for you and you watch me.
Yeah.
That to me is, and I do performances, I read poetry, I do all sorts of, and I have a very performative practice. But the heart of that practice is creating spaces, creating these va where all these relationships can be focused into sharing the same time and space. And for me, that's a really powerful embodied experience. And I feel that is what our indigenous ways of knowing and being can bring to us when we're really in that space and we're not just performing for an audience. So just something I wanted you to think about in terms of activating your bodies and your relationship to your audience and your relationship to things all around you. And then as Katrina said, if you open a space, and today we've already opened our relationship with each other, and very soon we're going to open another relationship with your ancestral past. So it's important that when we finish at the end of the day that we close that space, because there are realms that they belong to and realms that we belong to. And that's when the past, present and the future needs to be arranged in their particular spaces. Otherwise sometimes deep movements can happen. So that's something I want to, so at the end of the day, and food's an important part of that too, to keep us noa, to keep us sort of in the realms of everyday. Because a lot of the beautiful yao that we're going to be meeting has come from ceremonial, there's a lot of everyday things as well, but there are some pieces that we're going to meet that will be ceremonial. So that's something important for us to remember at the end of the day.
Just like what you were saying about the relational space, and like that you are in conversation with the
audience rather than like a traditional like performer observer relationship. Like we have like sort of like a philosophy that we've developed recently, which is like creating magic moments, like moments where you can like shift and change and have a spiritual awakening or like have, you know, hope. And we discuss this all the time about developing a like a figure 8 energy, like, and it's the vibe, the space between. And then like you as a performer, activator, you as an
Thank you.
activator,
Don't use that word anymore.
you know, you are giving into that space and you are receiving that space and like, so like I'm just trying to translate it for some of the language that we've been using in the studio, like, you know, that figure 8 energy that we're always talking about, how it grows and you know, depending on
and it's
what is
reciprocal, isn't it?
Yes,
It's it's what I love about the figure 8, and and there's that point where it crosses over.
Yes.
And that's a really important space.
So I'm just seeing like a lot of parallels between like the language around what Rosanna's talking about activating spaces, and it's not just people, the environment, it's the yao, it's all of these things. So yeah, so just like bringing that into what we've been just talking about recently. So
Awesome. Cool. Well, that'd be perfect time to hand it over to our Dr. Katrina Eggers.
No, we don't. We can leave the doctor. I've just realised, Rosanna, that all of these lovely young people were probably about 6 last time you and I were here together activating the space. So you would have like no idea the last time we were, the 3 of us, our little triangle here, were all together. So we'll have to do it again soon. You'll have to come back.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we need the inaugural Fijian SaVAge Club
I
meeting.
feel like that's a thing now.
I think that's a thing. Okay.
So I'm sorry we don't have a big screen for you guys, but I'm going to turn this around to figure out how to make full screen. And so when we start talking about museum collections, like Lely really beautifully articulated, I'm going to start using the vocab. Museum spaces can be really contested and really controversial because museums, and this is an ethnographic museum, so ethnography means the study of people and cultures and things. And so ethnographic museums were and are European constructions. So it comes from European, you know, intellectual thought that things from other cultures need to be in places that other highly intellectual people can come and see and look at and meet, but never really intended for the cultures that are. And so when kind of colonization happens, and British, French, Americans, Europeans of any kind started coming into different areas, the Pacific especially, museums were set up for the purpose of the European communities being able to come in and look at these different cultures. So, excuse me, they're really contested entities in themselves. And it's an Enlightenment kind of period thing, so 17th, 18th kind of centuries. And the Fiji Museum itself was formally established in 1904. It was called the Fiji Historical Society, and it had many, many different homes until, including the caves behind here during World War II. So in the 40s, the collections were all in the caves underneath the British High Commissioner's residence. But this building was established in 1955, and it's been the home of the museum ever since. There have been 2 additions onto it, so this is the main hall that you see. And then over there is the 2nd edition, and the stores where we're going is the latest edition in the back. But nothing has been added on to the museum aside from this veranda since kind of the early 80s. So the Fiji Museum itself ranges collections from all over the world, really. It's not just indigenous Fijian material. There's a lot of material related to the Girmit tribes. Also around the Pacific Islanders, especially to do with blackbirding. Blackbirding was a form of indentured labor, kidnapping, as you guys will know. So a lot of Pacific Island communities' collections are housed here as well. There's also later history, so once government was formally established, a lot of governmental things really have come into the museum as well, and they're really boring, like camcorders and digital, radio equipment and things like that. But the ethnographic collection itself is about 10,000 strong, so there are about 10,000 Yao objects tāonga treasures. We don't like the word artifacts at all. Artifact is a really archaic word that takes away the agency, I guess, of ancestral being, knowledge, treasures. Objects is, also slightly bad, but that's understood kind of around the world. And so within these 10,000 pieces, there's also a 3,000 plus photograph collection here at the museum, also archives, so documents, manuscripts, bills, everything, and that's housed in the library, which is the building to the back of the museum. If you look at anything they'd like to, but not many people know it exists because it's not actually physically in this building. So, and that's remained open all throughout COVID, and it's still open every day, 9 to 4. Yeah. So if you'd ever like to go, please visit. What we're going to be looking at today really ranges from a lot of Fiji's kind of migration history into Fiji. So Fiji was populated through about 4 different waves of people coming in. We all know about the Lapita people, the Melanesian migrations, Polynesian migrations, and this new gallery that is being worked on is all about Fiji's voyaging history. And it's not just the indigenous voyaging history, it's about to labor, blackbirding, European, it's all included in this first gallery, and we'll see some of that upstairs as well. For Birmingham, which is what this wonderful workshop deals with as well, we've got they've got beautiful, beautiful collections from Fiji. And we're going to museums and revolve around the body, especially. So that's what we want to talk about today. So I'm going to start with Birmingham so that we get our heads kind of fresh and in place. And then Rosanna will be able to see as well because this is our girl here. Yes. And then we'll keep.
I'm trying to do some
going.
social media right now. Half an hour.
You should have seen us yesterday trying to test this out. It was quite something. So, besides museums, what everybody knows of museums, do you guys keep cultural treasures around the house? Do you consider them cultural treasures? What do you think? Yes. Yes. Yes.
I would like to think so.
Yes. And do you use them in an everyday kind of way, or no? But they're always kind of there, and you can interact with them and touch them and be with them. And that's kind of what we need to think about museums moving forward, is that it's not places where things need to be shut away and need to be away from everybody. It should be a very community-oriented, community-based thing that you can interact with freely, just like you would at home. And we talk a lot now, don't we, Lily, about museums without walls and moving into the community space, and that's what we need to start thinking about in museum context, and that's what Rosanna and all of her work is really good at, because as she'll show you with the SaVàge Club rooms, it really blurs the boundaries and breaks the barriers between us and them and us, and
what should be behind glass,
exactly.
And what why it should be behind glass. Just sort of trying to challenge them to look at it's easy for them, they're displaying other people's stuff, but it's when it's not other people's, when it's yours, you have a really different relationship with it. So that was one of my first interests, and I always wanted to break down the glass because I make things, so I'm always wanted to go, is that how they made that?
And you can never quite see the things that you want to see in the way you want to see them when museums present them. And that's why it's so important too that young people get involved in whatever kind of sector or sphere you're in. Just because this is a museum and somebody is, a painter or somebody's a dancer doesn't mean that they don't come together and they shouldn't all work together. Because different ways of seeing and different ways of being should make up the experience. And that's also what we're trying to kind of encourage more often in this space. So I hope you can all see this beautiful lady here. Maybe if I move forward a little bit and not block that with my bum. This matakau, so matakau is a female ancestor figure. Some of you may have met her in Latvia. And she is from Vanuatu, and she was collected in the 1870s, I want to say 60s, 70s, by two brothers that bought some islands here and did all sorts of things, and then went back to the UK. But she's really special in the fact that she is tattooed around her waist, and she's also tattooed around her mouth. As I think a lot of you know, tattooing is a female-only practice done by females on females. Incredibly prestigious and required for chiefly women to take part in order to kind of keep moving forward in their lives and to be accepted into the afterlife in the appropriate way. And so this matakau has lived a long life and has been in Birmingham since, when would you say, the 50s, I think. 1950s she came into
I think that's when she
collection.
came, yeah.
But again, taken about 100 years later, earlier out of Fiji. And she's really special She's really special because she comes with her own little liku, and she comes with her own little necklace as well. And interestingly, when she was in Lakma and when she came to the UK to Norwich, I don't know if any of you will remember, but she did not have a liku on. And it was a strange phenomenon that the museum would not allow her to travel with her. Outrightly refused that she could come with what she was meant to come with. I think it's conservation reasons. That's the only thing that we can think of. And I've tried to find the emails, but they're probably lucky that I can't find them right now. But it's anything fiber related. Museums take very seriously, and they take very strong stances on fiber traveling and being part of exhibitions and the way they're cared for. And that's also where conversations like this need to happen, because fiber, masi, val, voivoi, all incredibly durable materials. I mean, mani, it's used to make canoes, it's used to, bind.
Or you just make another one.
Or you just make another one. And so, cultural heritage, treasures, were meant to be passed on. We're meant to live other lives. We're meant to die, in a sense. They're meant to, they're ephemeral is the only word I can think. They're meant to be made, used, disintegrate, another one made, used. So museums, again, are really contested, because what happens when, these beautiful things get stuck in this parallel of just living forever and being stuck without, their communities or their people. So you guys would have seen her like this on this side.
I know, and isn't it interesting that presenting an ancestress without her skirt on is not shocking to them?
Yes.
And then if you think about it, imagine if that's your ancestor and she's been put on show, full frontal, with her mana compromised, because somebody in a museum thinks that the skirt is more important than the actual presentation upholding the mana of a cultural, of an ancestor. So this is things like this really get me going. That's what I mean. Sometimes all these feelings come up that and it can, so it's trying to find ways that we can, instead of just throwing, I call it, instead of just throwing stones from them from the outside, but I really feel that as artists, we can help people look at something in very different ways. And this is, it's a little food for thought for us today, like, for how if you get the opportunity to meet this matakau, how would you like her to be seen? Or have you got gifts for her? Have you got a story you would like to tell her? Like, how can you collapse time and space and create a space where her past, your present, and the future being your children can actually sort of, I always say, kind of reactivate them, because at that point you're all in the same space. She's living through you and you're living through her. So these are some of the things I sort of started to think about when I started to interact with museum collections. When I was far away from home and I didn't have humans around me anymore. Well, not many, I had humans. But just as a craftsperson, as a maker, like, and I went into the museums, that some of these things really shocked me about what they think is important and what you think is important. So that's another thing. Yeah, what is important to you?
And if we know anything about, Vengia and marks now, they're never meant to be seen. They're always meant to be concealed. They are for, very particular purpose. So this poor lady has been shown to the world for, quite some time. And so, like Rosanna said, how can we give back to her? And what can we offer her? And what can we give to her? She is now likud, isn't she? She is really likud, thankfully. But she spent a good 2.5, 3 years without it before coming back to Birmingham. So she's done her due. And also, I don't know if you can see this back photo, but the likud doesn't actually meet together. They haven't tied it in a way that actually covers her. So she's backhand maiden 3.0. So, even though it's on, she's still, exposed in ways that she shouldn't be, and it would never be tied in the back anyways. So they're always tied on the hip on the side. So that's another interesting, point that needs to be made about connections with communities, elders, people that can help. And museums more and more now are wanting advice, feedback, assistance from communities.
It's not all bad.
No, it's not all bad. We won't shit on all of them, all the time. But knowledge is power, transmission is power, sharing is the real power, and that's why we all sit here today as well. Oh no, I decided to. Tired of me talking about it already.
She's like, I haven't got my liku on. Do you mind?
I was just getting to some more good stuff.
So how many of the matakau do you think are out in the... Do they have that sort of information?
There isn't a lot of information in that sense, but because they're ancestral figures, both male and female, there's more female than there are male. We have a really large male matakau here, and I think he's about as tall as me. He's about 1. Whoa! He's as tall as me with his base. He's about 1.5 meters without. And he was returned back in the 1980s, I believe it was, and he was taken by an Anglican minister. But there's a lot of matakau outside of Fiji and outside of the Pacific because, when missionaries were converting, the first things they wanted to take were anything related to pre-Christian religion, because then that would immediately take a lot of the influence away. However, it's a really interesting story with missionaries because they didn't just take them and destroy them, they took them and sold them kind of around the world to make money to further their mission,
fundraising,
their mission causes. So that's how a lot of them ended up in museums, because the museums would then buy them and then end up in storerooms, basically, because they weren't fit to display at that time. And then they've stayed in storerooms, really, because nobody has had a lot of knowledge. And that's where we need to think about, this cultural heritage sector really seriously, because we need to get indigenous voices within the museum space and within these positions that know what to do and how to guide as well.
And also it's that journey too. It's not what they were. We have lost some knowledge. But I think that when I talk about past, present, future, I also think of it's what they can become. What can they become to you? What can they become to your next generation? And I think that's a really amazing concept, when you start all of a sudden going, oh wow, it's not just, a fairly interesting carved wooden thing in a museum. Yes, you've got, which is how that they objectify them. You'll read the label, you'll be like, thanks to the work that Katrina and the project's been doing, you will have an indigenous name, and then you'll have wood figure, 60 centimeters by such and such with a material blah 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 blah. And of course, what does that tell us?
Yeah. I just have a question. Why and how did they make Matapau? Like, is it like each one is based on a person when they die, or what was the person? Did anyone know what?
Some were the ancient Wu, so some were based on Dene, kind of the totemistic kind of Wu of each region. But some were, and it's not just Matapau as in like a person's form. Clubs took on ancestral people and names as well. So
okay.
Yeah.
So for example, that one, like she's quite intricate and she's got a tattoo and like, I don't know, would she have been based on a real woman, or she is a real woman, but like, is that the process of how they're made?
Yeah, because you need to have you need to be able to offer to your ancestor a physical sense of offering.
Sorry, one more question. So would it be like, if it was based on, it's really interesting. No. If it was based on a person, would that person still be living, or would they have passed away? They'd be dead. So it's like a homage almost to that person.
A way of keeping them in the present.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, they were usually stored in the wood below.
They were, and that's why you will see upstairs Wulu Kavandra. She's really, really black, and she's black from the soot of the fires burning in the wood below when the Mbete were talking to her and sharing.
Well, it's 11:15, so maybe we'll just wrap this up so we can go through this stuff.
That's her, by the way.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
And so she is she's a hook as well, so it's different from our first girl. So she would be hung in the corner of the board below, and then offering draped off her hooks. And she once had arms, but those have been long gone. And she is also tattooed, and she was also lipu, but the lipu has disintegrated into just a ring around her body. Here's another Matapau who you guys would have met in Laxma as well. And she was repatriated back to Fiji by Fergus Clooney. None of you young people will know who Fergus Clooney is, but he was once director of the museum, and he spent a lot of his time bringing Yao back to the museum. So she came back to Fiji, strapped into the seat of a Qantas airplane with him in 1987. He did not want to put her in the cargo hold like they told him to, so he bought her a ticket and strapped her in next to him. He said, "Don't you dare tell me what to do with my treasure." So we love Fergus. Fergus is a lovely human being. This is our man here. He's not anywhere to be seen inside because he's so large. So he's unfortunately still in the crate.
So he was 177.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And when he stands, he's one of the most powerful things I've ever come across in kind of Fijian cultural heritage. He's very commanding. A few other adornments and related things just to show you and give you an idea if we want to make, create, see, work with, to offer to our matakau in Birmingham, which we'll see upstairs as well.
Are those whales?
They're full whale's teeth. So this one's called a sisi, and you don't see this very often anymore. You normally see the waseka, which are the curved. Yeah. Waka's up here. Wachni waka. And this is a spondylus shell. This is a savui. And these little beads that you see here are trade beads. So this really talks about the interaction between Europeans who came in and Fijians, because trade beads are they're trade goods, and so currency. So Europeans brought them in, and then they began being used. That's why muskets came into Fiji. You know, you see muskets on masi even. Inlaid masi, so just like clubs were inlaid with whale ivory, muskets became inlaid, and those became cultural treasures as well. Anything that could be inlaid was inlaid, I think. There's our sisi. That's a detail of the binding here. We can come back and you can flip through them.
Try and show the screen as well.
Oh, hello screen. Here you go. Bulikula. There we go. She's not out, is she?
No.
We'll see if we can. And as everybody knows, $100 bill. Yeah. And a really nice thing that when the money was changed, they came to the museum and said, what treasures can we put on the money? So all of the kind of things that you see on the money are housed in the museum and are cared for by the museum. Yeah, breastplates. Viva Vona Vona. So these are the composite ones. So composite means that they've just been put together instead of being one big piece. And these are pearl shell and whale ivory, so sperm whale teeth.
And is that the technique that the Samoan boat builders
Indeed
share? This is when I love when we start to see how our cultures shared knowledge and technology and actually some of our shared histories. Because, so I believe they were from Manono. They would come over here and that's how that technology... I love it. You see, you get a Fijian going, making a boat. Oh, hang on a minute, I could do that with my... Instead of having a big thing, I could do that with the whale's teeth. So that's that creative mind. Takes a technological sort of method and then produces something of absolute beauty. So I love that.
And then so this is Viva Tambua. And you can see the front, and this is the back side. And the back side is this beautiful color, because if you think about tambua, when you see that really, really rich tambua, that's because they have been rubbed in oil and then smoked. And so this back side, often people thought this was the front because it looks slightly more beautiful than the back, but it's because it's been against oiled skin. And so it's rubbed, and then it's kept in masi, and it's just, the oil is absorbed into it, and it creates this gorgeous color. And you see that on a lot of the backs of any kinds of adornments, necklaces, and that's why museums often show them back to front, because they don't understand which way is which.
Who usually wears those colors?
Only men, I'm afraid. Yeah, chiefly men. However, before we lose too much time, women, gay women, and also these were often worn by women, men as well, but women. And we think this is a child's one. It's very, very small. It wouldn't fit on any grown-up's neck.
Or maybe it was on a matakau.
Yeah, or it could have been on a matakau. Maybe ours needs one of these. I think that's the last I had to show. Oh, and this is a last composite one that you can see. But shall we go upstairs?
I think so. Yeah, we'll pack up. And
so when we go up, if we can leave bags and things down here. We can take paper. Pencils are preferred. If we don't have pencils, we'll just keep the pens closed. And because there's so much stuff inside right now, we'll just have to remember to stay single file if we can and kind of spread out in the space instead of clumping up, because there is stuff everywhere. And that is not an understatement.
Are we allowed to